So today is the day, guys, that I actually finally start working on the F31 M3 project. So it needs to be an F81. I'm looking at that thing in the back and I'm super excited for that thing to become an F81 M3. I cannot stress this enough, guys. I literally have the same surge of motivation that I had with the E91 M3 with this F81 M3, but just this business, man, it's taking so much of my time. Can someone please make it 48 hours a day and I can actually get so much more work done. But no excuses. Today is Saturday, came down to the shop, so I can actually get working on this F81 and just get this project started. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and pull in the soon-to-be beast. Because it's an N20 right now and it is far from it. For those of you guys who don't know, the wagon only came in a 328, either the diesel or the twin turbo. This just so happens to be the twin turbo, but nonetheless, they're both very slow options. The wagon in the United States pretty much just came as a daily driver and nothing more than that. We're gonna make this wagon the ultimate driving machine. So we got the wagon here at the shop. I genuinely think this thing is not going to be running for much longer in about, I think about a week. So in about a week's time, I'm going to start on it today. In about a week's time, I'm theoretically trying to get this entire drivetrain out to where we just have a power steering rack and a steering column. We can just turn this thing and push it and just get this whole drivetrain out of this car. I'm going to get the whole interior out of this car. The way we're going to be approaching this car is going to be a lot different than the way we approach the E91 M3. The E91 M3 replaced the entire body harness. And even after doing that, we had to pretty much splice it. So long story short, the E91 M3 has a factory OEM E90 M3 harness from the front of the car that goes all the way to this section right over here. As soon as it gets to the wagon bits, I pretty much had to splice it in half. We had my boy Nick fly down here and actually splice the wiring harness, do a bunch of coding, and made it all work like OEM. That car is actually barred to the E91 M3. So that thing is a legal E91 M3 on the road. If we get pulled over and it shows a VIN number of a 328, it's legally an M3 on the road because of the bar sticker, which is pretty sick. That thing cost me a lot of money to get, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this one because I want my builds to be proper. The cool thing about the F31, supposedly, I don't see anyone that actually did it this way. Everyone else I saw online in the forums that actually attempted this build did the entire thing the way you would do the E91 M3. But me and Nick, when I say me and Nick, I mean Nick believes we could go ahead and keep the entire body harness the same on this car and just swap out the engine harness and the wiring in the front of the engine bay and then a few little wiring in the interior, and this thing will literally be fully functioning F81 M3. So that being said, Nick has a lot of faith on this car and having a lot of faith on him, and he's going to be helping us build this thing remotely, and he's going to be flying down and helping us do a lot of the wiring and stuff like that on this car. This guy is a flipping genius, and I love this guy. Everyone needs that friend that's like, hey, you can do it. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I think, hopefully. So the way you guys see the car right now is the way it's pretty much gonna look for a while, at least from the external point of view. You guys can see the two doors are on there, the tailgate's on there, some of the rear bumper brackets and stuff like that is on there. We're actually gonna be swapping out a lot of this stuff in the rear right here and modifying it, including the quarter panels, of course. But the nice thing about this wagon is that we got a really clean base. We have the shadow line trim, we already have tints on the windows. The entire car is Alpine white, which is gonna be the same chassis code we're gonna try to go ahead and get for the F8X as well. We're gonna try to get an Alpine white F80 M3. So literally when we put on the front clip, there's not going to be any aftermarket paint from the front of the car going all the way to the quarter panels. The quarter panels are going to be modified to fit the M3 quarter panels. So unfortunately, those do have to, no matter what, get painted. And the bumper as well is going to be two bumpers combined. So that's going to get painted as well. But literally, other than that, even the tailgate, the roof, the rest of the car is going to be factory paint. Even the chassis is factory paint, which is going to be super clean. And let's just say the mods that I have in mind for this thing, I'm gonna hit up my boys at Kies, and we're just gonna make the dream happen. Obviously, I'm not gonna say anything because I sometimes, or at least recently with this business, I've been noticing I've been under-delivering, promising and under-delivering here on YouTube. So I want to just go ahead and say, have faith in your boy. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and start taking her apart. So for those of you guys who don't know, because this is an all-wheel drive car, we actually have to remove everything in the front end of this car because this drivetrain needs to actually be dropped Technically, you don't have to move everything in the front if you're going to be dropping it on the floor. You technically don't have to move everything in the front if you're going to be pulling it upwards. For us, we are removing everything just to make life a little bit easier, but because it's an all-wheel drive, we literally have to move everything regardless. Doing an engine swap on one of these cars would absolutely suck, so thankfully, we're not putting an all-wheel drive system back in this car. And just like that, guys, we got the whole front clip off the car. At this point, it's just all the cooler assembly, so we typically just disconnect all the hoses, and we keep this thing complete. And this engine, guys, is probably one of the easiest engines to pull out. You guys can literally see there's literally nothing going on here. Just a positive right over here. This coolant hose goes to that. I can literally just put that on top of here. We can literally drop this engine and transmission the next hour or two if we wanted to. It just won't be able to move the car. We currently have the i8 cylinder that we're currently parting out, as you guys can see, and we need to get that out of the way. We also have our donor car for this project sitting right over here, which I don't know if I showed you guys a proper introduction to this bad boy, but this is an F80 M3 with the beautifulest interior you guys can find. As you guys can see with the interior of this bad boy, this is our F80 M3 with an extended leather dashboard, Securo orange. Look at these seats, competition seats. We're definitely gonna have to swap out those badges as well, but look at that, guys. It is super dark in here. It is super filthy in here. We started parting this thing out because we have a few leads on some parts, and obviously we're gonna try to recoup as much money on this car as possible because we are keeping one of the biggest things about this car, which is the interior. As you guys can see, the door panels are extended leather. The rear, our rear sunshade, which will fit perfectly in our wagon because our wagon is rear sunshade package. This is literally the dream interior that I wanted, so we overpaid for this car, but ended up being really worth it because this engine, even though it looked badly hit, was actually undamaged. So we ripped off all the parts off the front end of this car and got it started. It's not even a crack on the oil pan. It runs like a dream. Actually, our M4 CS has a crack on the oil pan, and we were only able to run that engine for like 5 seconds because we didn't want to damage it. But that one is 100,000 miles. It's gonna be harder to sell a 100,000 mile engine. We're gonna go ahead and throw that into our donut car. It is a 2020, literally has 0 leaks. So this is technically good for our kind of project. That one's gonna be good for like selling or something like that, just to recoup some of our money, because that interior technically is worth like $4 grand altogether. So purchasing it would be kind of difficult for this build, but as long as we can recoup most of our money with that engine, we should be good to keep that interior for this build. So yeah, I can't wait to put the interior in the car, but we got priorities, guys, and we need to get this thing honestly starting to strip down. So at this point, it really looks like drivetrain. I'm gonna go ahead and tackle this either another day or a little bit later. We could technically remove all these caps, but I'm gonna keep it here in case it rains outside. I don't want to damage any of the wiring because we still end up selling all the parts from this car, again, to recoup on this project as much as possible. So I guess at this point, let's go ahead and just remove the full F31 red sport heated interior. Even this interior has the sunshade package, which is pretty sick. It actually even has rear heated seats. So this is a pretty decked out red interior. Again, this is gonna be going up for sale here at Natty Auto Parts for those of you guys who are interested that have a wagon that want one of the cleanest interiors out there. It is kind of dirty, but is a red sport. I mean, you can clean this up and it'll come out just fine. If you guys look at bolster wear, it doesn't look too bad whatsoever. And again, this will clean up perfectly in another F31 wagon. So that being said, let's go ahead and get out this interior. And honestly, I want to remove the center console and the dashboard and literally just have a steering wheel in here, just so we can drive it, but at the same time, get this thing stripped as much in the interior as possible so we can do some of the wiring that's needed for this conversion. Now, I'd be lying to you guys if I told you guys this didn't hurt. Removing a red interior out of a wagon really does hurt. But we're replacing it with a Securo orange red interior, so I think it's a little justifiable. The F31s are super rare to find with this red interior, so do not worry, guys. We're not junking this red interior. We're not putting it off to the side. We are actually going to be selling this here at Natty Auto Parts, but it does suck that we're pulling it out of this car. But again, for good reason. What you guys see me doing here is actually removing the stock buckles off these seats because our F80 seats are deployed, so we do have to swap that over to those seats. So guys, good news. We got a lot done today, which I'm pretty happy about. Another day working on the F30. What's grave in the name of my little babies? I don't know where I got that intro from, but I found out about it 10 years ago and it just hit me recently, so I'm gonna go with it. In the second half of the video, it's been about a week now since we touched the F31, but that being said, we are back with the F31 a week later, and I am ready to pull this ugly soul out of this car. The N20 is an amazing engine for a daily driver, but we're gonna turn this thing into a ultimate fun car, not a daily driver anymore. So we're pulling out the N20. We're going to be putting an S55 in here, obviously not in today's video, but the goal is to pull out this N20 in a short period of time, because actually today I'm not staying the entire Saturday. I'm dipping around probably 2:33, so I need this engine out in probably the next 2 to 3 hours. It is 9:17 right now. I guess my goal is to try to get this engine out by, let's say, 1:30. So the only things I've kind of got a head start on, as you guys see from the past couple of videos, is the radiator support, the bumper, and the intake. That's pretty much it. Everything else is still kind of connected. We have to extract the Freon, we have to take out the coolant, all that stuff. And this is an all-wheel drive car, so it's a little more complicated than a rear-wheel drive car. But then again, it is an N20, so it should be fairly easy to knock out. So that being said, let's go ahead and get to this job. Here at Natty Auto Parts, we literally part out cars 5 days a week, so this feels like another job on my Saturday. But this was a little different. This one's gonna be transformed, so I'm a little more motivated to knock this one out.
Hey, don't go shooting all the dogs, cause one of them got fleas. Don't just listen to these songs and think that you got grease. They just lyrics, I'll be venting to this mic, it's therapy. You could leave, but them other guys is whack, they not me. Godspeed, sweetie, living out my dreams. I don't need a genie. Pops did Madonna shows, music in my blood, it was destined for me. Way before I even fucking seen a CD. Cross the wrong line, you gon' need a treaty. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. And through passion I get stronger. Long days working on getting better, but they only get longer. Getting there is half the battle, staying there is much harder. I've been flying out to islands so remote we must charter. Been a pro for 10 years, trying to go another 10. Going hard like Vince Carter. Leave something for my son and my daughter in case of my departure.
You know that I'll always try to get it right. I'm working hard to leave a legacy behind. Yeah, you know that I'll always fight for what is mine. I'm working hard to leave.
So guys, small update. For the most part, the undercarriage of the car is disconnected. We got to drop the transmission a little bit, so I'm actually pretty happy about that. The progress is not too bad. The only thing is I'm a little rusty. I haven't taken an engine out in a little bit. I had my boy Erlan recently been working here in Natty Auto Parts, and he's been pulling most of these engines, so I'm a little rusty on just getting things disconnecting and having the motivation to get it done. That being said, it's getting done. I don't care. It's been way too long, and I just want to get this build started. So that being said, we have everything in undercarriage pretty much disconnected. Because we're not cutting any of the body harnesses on this car, I'm used to just cutting things when we dismantle. I actually have to delicately disconnect everything, make sure nothing is damaged when removing stuff. So this next one right here is gonna have to be for the power steering rack. I'm gonna have to get that thing disconnected. We might actually have to do some rewiring for that and repinning for a new connector for the M3, because I'm pretty sure that's not the same. But again, everything we're gonna be doing on this build, I'll be showing you guys how to do it. Other than that, at this point, guys, it's literally just 3 bolts, and then we have to get the top hat bolts off for the shocks, and I believe the brakes, because we don't want to cut those. We just want to remove that properly. So yeah, so far so good. Again, not too much stuff left on this car to get knocked out, and hopefully this engine's coming out. I really hope you guys are enjoying this video, because what you guys see right now is a man that has no idea what he's doing, but he's determined to do it. And just like that, guys, about maybe, I would say about 1,000 pounds, maybe 800 pounds, no, definitely 1,000 pounds worth of stuff came off the front of the wagon, and it literally just fell back. Thank the Lord I had the rear wheels on the car, otherwise it would have destroyed a little bit of the undercarriage in the rear. Thankfully, everything is great in the Navy. I did disconnect everything, so literally as soon as I unbolted the last subframe bolt, everything just kind of came out super clean and easy. Didn't damage absolutely anything, which I'm super happy about. And I went ahead and just left the suspension on there, so I think it'll be easier to drag the wheels with it. I guess we'll find out. And guys, a few customers stopped by earlier and got a lot of personal things done, plus a lot of procrastination, and I still got it done at now 12:50. So that's pretty saucy, not gonna lie. Again, pulling one of these N20s drivetrains out is really not that hard. It's an all-wheel drive. It does take a little bit longer, and it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt. It's actually a lot more pain in the butt because you actually have to drop the subframe. If this was a rear-wheel drive, I would have just pretty much took the engine and transmission right out of the car. But because it's all-wheel drive, it's a lot beefier, a lot chunkier, and it wasn't just gonna slide out, unfortunately. But anyways, we have a perfect now N20 that we're gonna be listing here up at Natty Auto Parts. All-wheel drive transmission as well, subframe, steering rack, all that good stuff. So we're gonna recoup some of our money right over here. We'll be disassembling this first thing Monday and getting it listed up, but the wagon is looking pretty saucy. My goal for this right here is to probably leave the subframe and the control arms and the suspension and put it right back on the car so we can leave this thing as a rolling chassis, because we need this thing to roll to the frame shop to get that transmission tunnel resorted back to rear-wheel drive. For those of you guys who don't know, this is an all-wheel drive, in case I didn't mention, and you have to convert it to rear-wheel drive in order to do the F81 M3 conversion. There is no, unfortunately, all-wheel drive transmissions for the F81, so that means that unfortunately we're going to have to do some welding to the transmission tunnel. There isn't any rear-wheel drive F31s out there that I know of, so I didn't really have a choice. But if you guys are doing an E91 M3, you should definitely opt for the rear-wheel drive. I went with the all-wheel drive because I thought they were all-wheel drive as well, but the E91s come in rear-wheel drive, so that's probably a better and safer bet if you don't want to do any welding, or if you don't want to take it out of the garage, for example. Because literally, guys, if this thing did not need any welding, we can literally go ahead and start dropping in the S55, which would be pretty sick. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think of these longer style videos. I think this is probably around 20 minutes, maybe even 25 minutes. I usually do my videos around 10 minutes, but let me know if you guys like the longer videos, because when you guys reached out on Instagram and said, Nour, by the time your video finishes, I'm not even finished with my food when your video finishes, which means your video is too short. And I'm like, my bad, bro. I thought keeping it kind of short for your lunch break, so you see it on your lunch break, is a gravy and Navy thing. It's not the first time I've heard that, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a longer video and see how you guys like it. Let me know if you guys like it, because obviously making a longer video just means I have to kind of spend more time on it. I don't mind. It's just 2 weeks, so I can't get the video out as quick as I would like to get it out, but when it does drop, it's more content, more jam-packed. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully, again, in this next month or two, with things potentially slowing down, I'll be getting more done on this F31. But without further ado, guys, I love y'all so much. Remember to stay humble. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.